Who's the 27 number? Mike, is that you?
Howard?
Yes, sir. That's me.
Okay.
Hi, Paul.
Good afternoon, Mike. How are you?
Doing good. A little bit warm and sticky out there today, though. I'm hoping this humidity dies down a little bit.
Yeah, that would be nice. And if everybody can see, I'm early.
That's good.
Very for you.
I'm
Coming now, just so you know, I think.
Okay. Thanks, Jay. I was just wondering if Linda was going to join us.
I'm not late yet.
Not yet. I was wondering. You were making me worry. I know. At least Chris has his own IT department there. You're on your own.
Chris.
Mr. Woodruff.
How's it going?
Good. Are we going to hear that baby crying in the background?
Probably. All he does is cry. It's like his mother. He's doing good. He just ate, so he should be all right.
He never, yeah. He's doing good.
He is. Yeah, everything that he does bad, I always sell. That's the old side of him. That's just her maiden name. She don't like that.
You'll be in trouble once this meeting's over with.
I know, I might be. I keep it up. I might be sleeping on your couch, Mr. Yu.
Mike, did you hear from Nicole at all as far as attendance for the meeting? I don't see if she's joined yet.
She did not tell me that she was not going to make it.
Okay.
Did she contact Carla?
No.
Reach out or no?
No, she didn't.
All right. All right. Well, we got a quorum. I have 7 o'clock. We'll call this meeting to order. If you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call, please.
All right, Mike Bauer,
Present.
Jared Clement,
Here.
there you
Maybe
are.
it's not the name I thought it was.
Chris Rabish,
Here.
Paul Palmerville,
Because
Here.
Mike would be
Nicole
running
Jones, Linda Anderson, present, Mark Kuchar.
Present. Thank you. Like to welcome everybody, and it's very, very hot out, and I know the staff's been working really hard. We had a 224-page document that your board members had to go through. Hopefully you had air conditioning and a nice beverage to go through it with. Do we have any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda?
Descriptions. She's normal.
Seeing none,
Conversation.
need the approval.
You can probably
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
read her.
Support.
We have motion support. Any discussion on the agenda? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed?
Produces her
Abstentions?
And I said,
Okay, motion carries. Any community comments? Do you have anything floating out there, Jay, or?
There is one.
There is one, but I'm waiting
hear
to hear back from the person because I don't know if they just,
if they thought.
I don't know if they actually have a comment or if they thought this was the way that they needed to view the meeting. So
It's a teacher
it's a teacher
from the district.
from the district. So I'm hoping she'll
check
check her email.
All right. Well, there's another secondary chance if you can get that verified throughout the meeting. Any other community comments?
No.
No.
All right. Consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda and pay bills totaling $1,188,462.65.
and then what's left?
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion on any of the consent agenda items? I know there's a lot there. All right. Seeing none, I need a roll call vote on that, please.
Mike Bauer,
Yes.
Chris Rabish,
Yes.
Nicole Jones, Paul Palmerville,
Yes.
Jared Clement,
Yes.
Linda Anderson, yes, Mark Kuchar.
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes. Communication, Mr. View.
I think Nicole just showed up. Is that Nicole?
Uh,
I did.
Microphone was
off. I was trying to say yes to the vote.
All right. Well, yes. You did notice a large board packet. We've been quite busy trying to get things organized for the upcoming school year and amongst other things. But the first thing I want to talk about is some personnel updates. We're lucky enough to hire a special education teacher by the name of Sarah Braun. She's still working toward her special ed certification. She was teaching in Kansas, and we're looking at have information from the state that will allow her to teach. But we have to we're going to see how many of her credits transfer. It's just a little different program. So, but she's actually has a relation from Pinconning. She's originally from Auburn, but was teaching out in Kansas for I think 11 years. We also have Desiree Stein as a GSRP paraprofessional, Terry Beller, a middle school cook, and Renee Zimmerman as a bus driver. It's always good to get a bus driver in as well. Any questions on personnel? Board vacancies. Anybody have a question on that or no? Okay. Board vacancies. Just a reminder, we have 4 board seats open for the election in November. Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Klimick, Mr. Palmerville, and Mr. Burns are up. As of right now, I believe Mrs. Jones has applied. Mr. Palmerville has shown interest in possibly being a write-in candidate. And we have one other applicant that from the outside, that was Mr. Tom Bedifer. He applied to be on the board. So we technically have 3 people interested in 4 seats. Mr. Palmerville, did you get that email I sent you?
I did. Yep, I did, Mike. Thank you.
Yep. you should be all set, especially since we don't have enough, we're short a candidate, we're short candidates anyway.
What's that?
Just wanted to make sure that for the November ballot, though, that's, and I did include something in your board packet on everyone else's terms, so questions about that, or I know that's kind of out there a little bit, but I wanted to tell you that the filing of the clerk, we had 2 of them and 1 potentially with a write-in campaign. Okay? All right, Central Elementary project. Things are going very well. They're putting the tile in as we speak. Coming along very well. The asbestos removal is done and over with. And Chris, do you have any idea when the completion date might be on that project?
I really don't know the final completion date. I do know that the abatement company is complete and cleared out, and the tile company is coming along quite well. John might know about how much they have left to do, but they're moving fast.
Okay.
They need to tile the west end of the building, and they're starting that on Wednesday.
Okay. The next talking point is the return to learn plan, which consumed most of our energy for the last 2 to 3 weeks, if not more. I want to thank, we have an advisory committee that was set up, a couple board members, parents, administrators, teachers, helped give us some input. We had a lot of parents fill out surveys to give us input. And then we actually went through a process with our intermediate school district to kind of iron out the details. And just realize when we talk about this plan, it is flexible. It's not a in stone type of a document. As we know, things can switch with the pandemic. These are overarching guidelines that we've come up with in a consensus across the ISD. And I'm going to try and take over the screen and go through the 3-page summary. I think that'll be a good talking point. And then as I go through it, please ask me any questions. All right. Okay, can everyone see the plan?
Yep.
All right. Bay County and Aranet County. So what we have here, families will have to choose between 2 options for learning in the 2021 school year. That's a blended in-person learning or 100% virtual. Virtual learning is a standalone program offered by the district. It's fully online regardless of the phase. Blended is in-person with mixed face-to-face online instruction. We wanted to, the committees wanted to make sure we define those types of learning styles. And I'll go through, we're currently in phase 4, but if we go back into phase 3 or go up into phase 5, I want to explain those phases as well. So if the virus status is in phase 1 to 3, there's community spread and it's increasing substantially. Testing and tracing may not be adequate. During that time, schools are closed for in-person instruction and remote instruction will occur. Kind of like what was going on in the springtime. If we start in phase 4, that's when cases are, it prevents, it's a barrier from, other being real close to somebody. And so we ordered a lot of those. I mean, every student's going to have one. Modified lunch, recess, and extracurricular program procedures. If you look at the roadmap, this plan that you're looking at today, again, there's still work to be done. I'll be working with our advisory committees. I'll be working with the board still. But we still have to work out some of these plans like modified lunch and recess because it's difficult. We have 700 students up here and we're going to look at staggering when they get out of classes, spreading them out at lunch. We have no ability to get them in an area if we stagger our lunches. So that's going to be something we're going to be working on. And that's
Hey, question.
Yep.
Do we close campus at lunches now, or are they going to be allowed to be off-site once they leave? We can't ensure
Are they playing right next
they're
door?
wearing the safety PPE or that they're not hugging each other across the street. Not that going across the street and hugging's a bad thing, but you know.
Well, I will tell you this. And this again, this will have to be something I believe the board will eventually have to act on. But I think in the current status, if we're in phase 4, I would see our high school being in a closed campus situation. Because we can't ensure that they're socially distancing at various restaurants or whatnot, and then coming back into the building with staff and other students. But if we get into a phase 5, I think I'd be comfortable to have an open campus, but I am open for input. Is anyone on the board, how do you feel about that setup?
We might need to pull the awning in.
I agree with that. I mean,
All right.
it's the only way
One of
to
those.
ensure everyone's safety
I don't know.
and that they're not
Use one of
coming
those
back
tubes up
and
there.
contaminating other people and staff and other students.
Oh,
And that'll be something I'll have to communicate with our local businesses, just let them know where we stand and that type of thing, because obviously that our students are a big part of some of their of their business. But I think when you look at safety and I don't think anyone would be able to social distance if we let out 200 kids, 300 students out into the community and want to rush them back here in a half hour. I just don't think that's going to be pertinent. But so that's
the protocol's the same in 4 and 5 though for us and how we have to act in the school. So I don't know that I could differentiate between 4 to 5, meaning it would be open. I mean, it's up to the consensus, but we have the same requirements. Every checkbox is the same between 4 and 5.
Raining?
So if we don't think it's appropriate for 4,
yeah,
probably not for 5 either.
Oh.
Okay.
I agree.
So then we're open to this on a 6 level, but some of these things are highly recommended, and then when you go into phase 5, they become recommended. So that was why some of our reasoning was potentially that would be something we could, even with face coverings, we have to have some dialogue there as far as 4 and 5. But
so maybe pull the ISD group and then see kind of what everybody else feels, the other districts in the ISD, and bring that back to us and give us some feedback from everybody.
Like on an open campus, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's 4, is it closed? If it's 5, are they going to let it be open? How does the district-wide, how do we want to look at that?
Okay.
As long as we're consistent, I think I'm okay with what's decided. But I think with 4, definitely we should keep them. But with 5, if everybody else is willing to let it venture out a little bit, I think as long as we're consistent, I'd be okay.
The one thing I would want to point out to everybody is that my safe return plan, its ultimate goal is to have as few people in as few places as possible. So, there's districts that have everybody in the same classroom throughout the day and are rotating teachers. So I understand in phase 5 kind of loosening things up, and I really hate to hurt the businesses. I know our kids like going to those businesses, and I know the businesses like the students, not only for economic reasons, but they really enjoy interacting with our kids. But again, at this juncture, our role is really one of safety, almost. So I want you to keep that in mind. But again, I think Mr. Bauer has a great idea. Let's see what the other districts are doing, but I'm not sure that many other districts have any food choices or lunch choices as we do, with our kids being able to literally cross the road and not even have to really walk a block to get anything. So just keep that in mind and what the purpose of the My Safe School return is.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Was there questions about that at all? Okay. Then we're going to be doing the safe for the transportation. We'll have to have face coverings. hand sanitizers prior to board. We'll have hand sanitizing stations on the buses. Working with Jeremy and Judy right now to potentially look at either adding a route or getting having the ability to keep the population on the buses as low as possible. So just there's some work being done in that area as far as trying to minimize the number of students per bus. Daily student screening conducted by family prior to school entry. We are looking at our parents to keep their kids home if they're ill, if they have a temperature. Some districts are talking about doing temperature checks at the school. I'm not sure that that's recommended by, in talking with Troon, our lawyers had talked about that would be more of a mass health screening, which is prohibited in the school code. But in certain instances, if we had consent, we could actually take their temperature and that type of thing. But right now, we are encouraging families to do the screening prior to students getting on buses or getting into our buildings. Periodic classroom or building closures due to traceable outbreak. This is going to be the interesting part because, again, not everyone has all the answers. But when there are outbreaks in buildings, the health department is going to contact trace and help determine. We are going to be providing names of people who may be in close contact of this person who may have or who has tested positive. So the health department will help us process of how many students should be quarantined or how many staff members. So it's really working with that relationship with the health department and define a close contact or what we should look for as far as symptoms with students and staff. So that kind of a summary. Any questions about any of the details on the summary so far? So it's basically, I want to just throw in some things that we're looking to do as a district to help make this transition. One of those is to be a one-to-one district. We definitely have enough devices, so we plan on allowing our issuing devices to all of our students K-12. We have purchased Wi-Fi for all of our buses. Our buses have 15 buses that will be portable hotspots to be parked out through our community. So if people are having connectivity issues, they will be able to log onto one of those buses and get internet connectivity. We've worked with AT&T to secure hotspots for mobile data, and we're going to do a survey on who might need those hotspots. So there's some things that we're trying to be proactive, knowing going into this year that we may find ourselves in a situation where we're going to be needing those types of resources. But the bottom line is we are going to try to change the instruction with or without the pandemic. We do need to lean on the technology and get students adept to these types of learning styles. So with or without being in phase 3, we're going to be doing some of the, is it hybrid learning, Mr. Woodruff? Or blended learning.
Sorry, I'm losing you guys. I have bad connection.
Is there any questions? There's how much detail the board. I just want to let the community know and the board that there's in the plan that the board is